What is up, everybody? Welcome to Theocracy. I am your intrepid host, Theo Snodgrass, comedian and podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Wherever you may be, thank you for making me a part of your day. I know why you guys are happy today. It's Thanksgiving. Hey, or yesterday was Thanksgiving. This is the day after Thanksgiving. This is National Loosen Your Pants and Regret What You Ate Yesterday Day. I had an interesting Thanksgiving. I went to Benihana's with some friends. That was fun. That was fun. I wonder about this. I wonder. So, like, would we imitate Asian crap? Do Asian people come over here and I was like, oh, it's cute. They tried. Because that's how I feel when I see Asian people doing American stuff. I'm like, oh, that's funny. They like our stuff. That's nice. Let's get that over there. There we go. I don't know. I like it. I don't find it offensive. I'm like, oh, that's neat. They like our stuff. That's cool. I wonder if that's how they feel when we like their stuff enough that we, try to make it here. It's crazy. I don't know if you guys have been to Benihana, but yeah, basically it's they just like they like make the food right in front of you on this like hot plate or whatever. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. And it's weird because this guy's doing like he's like doing hibachi stuff, and it's like he's like spinning the knives and everything, and on top of that, he's doing like stand up, and he's fucking crushing. Like he's killing it. Like he's dude, amazing. He's just doing like a host set or like crowd work. It's pretty impressive. He's like fucking crushing it. He's got some bits that kill. He did great with the crowd, and then he gave everybody food. So I mean that's pretty cool. I mean I should try that. I thought about that. I should try that with my stuff. I should try to give everybody food. I might make them like me better. Yeah, Thanksgiving is I don't know, it's a weird time. A lot of people are at home with family right now, which is fine. I'm not. I'm in Vegas still. 'Cause I have a set. By the way, if you want to come see me do some live comedy, I'm going to be at Delirious Comedy Club tomorrow. It's down on Fremont Street. So it's downtown Vegas. I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. There's an early show and a late show. I'm on both. So if you want to check me out there. So I can't. Anyway, I have stuff to do. So I'm not just going to like fly home for Thursday and then fly home for Saturday. I'm not doing that. But like a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are with family and stuff like that. And so you have to navigate. This is a weird time to be. I mean, political conversations at Thanksgivings have always gotten contentious, but now it's a weird time because people feel like they want to murder each other with politics. It's weird. I don't know, and you have to deal with like this current strain of leftism. Is just all they do is bitch about colonialism, but they're just profoundly ungrateful for the downstream benefits of colonialism. It's like, what do you think this whole culture that you live in now is built on colonialism? This whole like it's because one group of people came and said this is our stuff now and we're taking it. And by the way, that's like all of human history. It's you can only complain about colonialism if you're historically illiterate because like every other there's no piece of land on earth that has been like owned by one ethnic group for all of time. It's just constantly changing hands. People are constantly like conquering and changing things. This idea that colonialism is inherently bad is downstream of this post-World War II social order where we decided whatever, the big bad German guy did, we're going to do the exact opposite in every way, which means, conquering is bad. Even though that was like historically, that's just like how humans did stuff. So I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's just like that. Just a fact of human history. And all of the benefits and prosperity and the easy access to food. It's crazy that we have a holiday that revolves around gluttony and leftovers. And the reason for that is because we have food in such great abundance that we can just get it whatever we want. You get reliable calories that are not going to make you sick in any flavor that you want for cheap pretty much anywhere in the country. And that is like a vanishingly rare thing in the history of humanity. So people should be grateful for that, is what I'm saying. Also, people say, don't you feel bad about Thanksgiving? I said this on the show last week. It's like, don't you feel bad about Thanksgiving? Because, it's celebrating a genocide or whatever. It's like, no, my team won. My team won. If you want a holiday, win next time. The holidays are for winners. Win next time if you want a holiday. That's the thing. It's like traditionally the way we've solved these issues is we wait until somebody wins and then we decide that they were right the whole time. Like traditionally, that's how human history has been decided. I've read history and wouldn't you know it, the good guys won every time. It's a Norm Macdonald bit. That's not a Theo Snodgrass bit. That's a Norm Macdonald bit. But the Thanksgiving part is mine. The history one is Norm Macdonald. So. But yeah, no, it's like it's a weird time of year where it's weird to this narrative that Thanksgiving is about colonialism and it's this evil, wicked, horrible, awful thing is especially pernicious because this is the season that we're supposed to be focusing on gratitude. The whole point of the season is to be grateful for what you have, to be grateful for the people that you love that are around you. Be grateful for the abundance of accessible, safe-to-eat food that we have, which is, I cannot tell you how vanishingly rare that is in human history. Just open a fucking book and see what there is. See what their relationship with, like, famine is. Like, it's just super common in humans. The fact that we have not had, like, a great famine in this country in our lifetime, or anyone who's alive right now, almost no one who's lived in America the whole time has experienced like a great famine. Last time we had food shortages, like the Great Depression. Like, guys, come on, we are fucking crushing it. Like, lighten up a little bit. Every single civilization that exists now was, built on destroying and oppressing some previous civilization. It's just how things are, and I'm not saying we should like do it. But I'm saying that's just like how things have been done. So just deal with that. Just deal with that. Do whatever you got to do to process the guilt of that. And then go, get your food from the fucking grocery store and say thank you. Just be grateful. Whatever, spirits or gods or entities you give gratitude to them. That's what I'm saying. Don't be a pussy. Anyway, so that's the opening monologue for today. That was fun. How'd I do? You guys like it? Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Kind of a quiet chat so far. That's okay. Wait, hold on. Where's my Rumble chat? I have the Rumble chat pulled up. There it is. Okay, there's no one in the Rumble chat. It's fine. Runaway Vagabond is here. What's up, buddy? Strider's here. What's up, buddy? Happy to be here. All right, so I came across this post on Twitter, which kind of inspired the show for me. Do you guys remember Miss Frazzled? This happened. She kind of came out during the election cycle last year. So her bit is like she talks to people she disagrees with politically as if they are preschoolers. And she uses like gentle parenting language to try to explain to them why their political beliefs are incorrect. And so I pulled this up for a reason. It's not just, remember, the point is not to dunk on this. I'm going to watch a bunch of her videos here. We're going to react to them. But the point is not to dunk on this lady. Don't like go flood her Twitter with hate comments. That's not the point. The point, I'm making a larger point with this because she's not the only one that's doing this. It's like this patronizing, condescending, scolding tone is the reason we have so many young men that are fascism curious. That is one of the key reasons. And despite every attempt to bring this up to leftists, they refuse to take that threat seriously. So I'm going to explain it to you guys, and you guys are going to see how fucking annoying it is. And then I'm going to explain it, and hopefully I get some clips out of it. That's what we're going to do today. So I hope you guys are ready for that. They need to eliminate thankfulness to create political divides. That's exactly right. So, okay, this is important. So gratitude, the reason gratitude is so important as a practice, and this is, put another coin in the jar because I'm about to talk about being Catholic again. The reason gratitude is so important as a practice is because life is so full of suffering. And if you spend all your time focusing on the suffering, then you're going to have a very bad time. Being grateful for what you have now actually makes you a lot happier. But here's the thing. If you are grateful for what you have and if you are happy, you will not support revolutionary political movements. You won't support socialism, which depends on being envious and being covetous of what other people have, which the cure for being covetous of what other people have is to be grateful for what you have, because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how unfortunate you are. Somebody somewhere is envious of something that you have. That's critical. That's critical, right? To understand. It's like if you want to be a happy person, it is required that you be grateful for what you have, because there is something that you have that someone else covets. So as much as easy, but it's a very human tendency. We're hardwired to just see what other people have and be envious of it, because we see what we lack and we feel what we lack. Right. And then, like, if you want to weaponize the emotion of envy politically, then that's where, like, wokeness and leftism and socialism come in. Yeah. It's Grabsky and propaganda. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is like old school. This is like, by the way, none of the stuff I'm saying, none of this is new or revolutionary or explained best by me. This is all, very, very, very simple. But gratitude is like absolutely critical to retaining your sanity, especially in a world where we are constantly bombarded with images on social media of other people who have more things than us. Constantly. Like, I guarantee you, if I open up my short videos right now and I scroll for long enough, eventually I'm going to see a video of a guy who's a billionaire on a yacht surrounded by women who are afraid to make eye contact with him, and he's going to yell at me that I'm not hustling hard enough. I guarantee you, I'm no more than 4 swipes away from that. Right? Now, I could be upset about that. I could be, oh man, why does he have that and I don't have that? Or I could be realistic about the fact that social media is not real life, and that these are, curated. We're receiving curated images of everyone's best, the best possible impression they could make on the internet. Like, they want desperately trying to convince everybody that they're having a great time. And then I'm comparing that to just like me, like on a Friday at my house, So anyway, I have a lot of stuff to be grateful for. It's been fucking killer. Sunny day out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's see. Oh, Kayla's in the chat. Being grateful for what you have allows you to live in the present moment. Having gratitude allows others to open for us. There you go. Or other doors to open for us. There you go. Shout out to the 4%. Shout out to Kayla. We love the 4%. All right, let's get into this because I want to point this out. So I'll show you the tweet that got me cooking initially, and then we'll kind of go from there. Boop. Boop. All right, so this is from Joel Berry, friend of the channel. Oops. This is from actually boop, boop. This is from Joel Berry, friend of the channel. Actually, I'm gonna be down here. I think this is where I want to be. Okay, this is from Joel Berry, friend of the channel. He's works over at the Babylon Bee, and something he said was, if you want to know why it seems like every dude under 25 is a fascist, this is what they had to endure at school every day of their lives. And so he's being a little bit hyperbolic there. Obviously, the problem of young men being fascism curious is something that I've been talking about pretty consistently now for a while. So it is a serious problem.
Mark,
and a lot of people are like, well, how did this happen? And I want you guys to remember is like what they had to endure in the school system. We're going to talk more about that, but first we're going to watch this video. So remember how I introduced this. This is Miss Frazzled, and she was the person that, talks like a preschooler to people she disagrees with politically. That's like her shtick. So we're going to get into that right now. Go ahead. So the title of this video is Gentle Parenting Your Transphobic Uncle at Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, that was the holiday we had yesterday. Isn't it great, by the way, before we get into this, isn't it great that as millennials, we grew up hearing about the transphobic uncle, and now we are the transphobic uncle. Isn't that good? Isn't that good? Doesn't it feel good to finally be the racist uncle? I mean, it just feels like a natural evolution. Although I don't know if I'm the racist uncle. I'm the misogynistic uncle, I think. I think that's who I am. We'll have to see. I'll have to ask my niece. Although she's pretty based. Shout out to my niece. She's a sweet girl. All right, go ahead, sweetheart. What do we have to say?
No, thank you, Uncle Mark. Try again with kind words, or we're going to take a break from this conversation. We use the names that people tell us, remember? Nope. They are telling you who they are. You just need to use your listening ears, friend. Did they give you trouble about your new hairline or your veneers or your LASIK? No. So you can mind your own body. Got it? You actually don't need to get it. Because it's not your job to be the gender police, silly goosey. Oh, that's an inside thought. Catch a bubble, please. No.
So catch a bubble is how you would tell a child to shut the fuck up, to be clear. Because I know some of you don't have preschool-age children, so a lot of you may not have heard this lingo before. Go ahead.
No. They are...
And I don't have preschool-age children either, by the way. That I know of. Comedy! That was a free one. Come see me live. I'm going to be at Delirious Comedy Club this Saturday down at Fremont Street. Come see me. Okay.
They are, and we are not going to pretend otherwise because you are uncomfortable. So why don't we do 2 minutes in the calm down corner? At this table, we are respectful. So if you cannot be respectful, it is time to take a break. Leave your course banquet, please. No, thank you.
Okay, so that was tough to watch, obviously. Let's go through some of the comments. Yeah, see, all the comments on this on Twitter are negative, but I'm fairly, all of these are negative. So I'm pretty sure she's not getting a ton of support. But I'm guessing that all of her comments on Instagram and TikTok are going to be positive. Now, I know a lot of you are having a hard time with that. And that was I'm assuming if you're like a rational, normal, thoughtful person, you found that super upsetting and condescending, and it grates on your ears. And I totally agree with you. That's how I feel about it also. However, that's the level of, or she feel like this is the problem with the left. They feel like their positions are so self-evidently obvious that this is the level of engagement that disagreeing with them deserves. And remember, this is so important. That's obviously like hyperbolically, extreme. She's exaggerating the degree to which she would condescend to these people, but it's actually not that far off. And we're going to see this later because this woman she was on that. Do you remember that Zoom call, White Women for Kamala? Do you guys remember that? So she was one of the main speakers for that. On that Zoom call. So we have a clip of her actually speaking to real adults. The truth is, it really does not differ that much from the way she's speaking here. And this is the point. So men, especially rambunctious young men, really do not like being nagged at by women. They do not like being talked to in this like infantilizing, condescending manner. And they really don't like it. It's not cool. And so we're in an environment now where 80% of teachers are female. So that's what Joel Berry was talking about when he was like, this is why every guy under 25 is a fascist. And by the way, all of the comments from her and from leftists and from all this stuff have just been defiant. Like they are refusing to learn the lesson that when you speak to people this way, they do not like it. It's not persuasive, right? It does not make the point that you think you're making, right? When you're not only it's a refusal to engage with your opponent seriously, which is fine, but when you talk to people as if they are children, you're just going to make them angry. And obviously, these videos are exaggerated. She's talking to them as if they're preschoolers. Fair enough, but it really does not differ that significantly from the way it's particularly a problem with like affluent white leftist women. It's particularly a problem with them where they just they scold and they nag and they yell, and what they're doing is they're taking their own emotional dysregulation and they're demanding with their bird hands that you do something about it, right? And they don't feel like they owe you any fundamental human respect or human dignity, right? They don't feel that way, and they think that they're just upset that you're not conforming. It's sort of like, you guys are Harry Potter fans. My audience has a lot of millennials in it, so I assume you guys are Harry Potter fans. You guys are familiar with Dolores Umbridge. This is what the school system has become. It's this like nagging HR harpy, which is hiding something deeply sinister and deeply evil behind something warm and compassionate. That's what it is. And it's like, fucking don't speak to me like that. Speak to me like a man. Like, speak to me like a man. What I tell you, I would 1,000 times rather get yelled at by a man than I would nagged at like this. And yeah, this kind of treatment is what is radicalizing people. So this is like, so a bunch of, because remember, the guys who are like under 25s now were taught by leftist millennial teachers, and so they were fed nothing but like Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and white people are bad. And they were taught, not only were they taught all these messages, but they were taught it in this tone. And the very few male teachers that could thrive in that environment were very likely using the same patronizing tone. It's a tone of like, I am superior to you in the same way that an adult has authority over a preschooler. And it's like, that's not the relationship that you have with a young adult person. That's not the relationship you have with a young adult person who's rational and who's trying to like form their own thoughts about the world. That's not the relationship that you have with them. And there's a huge assumption here that they're not just right, but they're right. They're on the morally correct side of history, and anyone who opposes them is either stupid or evil. That's how they feel. And that's authentic to how they feel. That's not. And the reason that's reflected in the way that they speak to people is because that reflects how they feel. So we're going to do more of these. She's got a bunch of these. This is going to be a fun day. Oh, this is Gentle Parent. This one is, let's see. Gentle Parenting Your Trumplican Aunt at Thanksgiving. Oh, I'm very interested to see how that goes. Let's see.
Macaroni cheese, everybody freeze. Aunt Kim, take a big deep breath with me, okay? Smell the flowers. Blow out the candles. There it is. See? Nobody is taking your Trump away. You can have Trump time on the iPad after dinner, but we're just going to chat for a couple minutes. Got it? We don't feel that way about the grown-ups that we elect, friend. Take a look at all the things you have with his name on them. Can we count together? 1, 2, boop, boop, catch a bubble. Nope, I know you saw something on Facebook, but those are just stories. The left does not hate America, friend. They want you to have health care. Okay, let's think in our brains. If you believe every American...
All right. So real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So I'm assuming we all know leftists. We've all dealt with leftists. Chat, I'm just going to turn it over to you guys. We all know leftists who hate America, right? Like, we've all heard them talk about it. In fact, they say it out loud with their mouths. So it's not, you don't have to, like, assume that's what they think. I'm not, like, interpreting. I'm not reading between the lines. It's very explicit that they're like, America is a hegemonic, white supremacist, racist, misogynistic, highly hypocritical empire that is evil and bad and oppresses people, right? Like, I'm not making that up. said that. So it's not just about healthcare. I mean, and I'll take her at her word that she actually, maybe this particular person just wants people to have healthcare, but there's plenty of people on the left who very, very openly hate America. And if we're going to pretend like that's not true, then we're just not having a conversation that's within the boundaries of factual reality. So we can't, we gotta deal with that. Okay.
American institution is evil. Are you sure you love America? Oh, we don't have to talk about socialism again. I know that is way too scary for you right now. Well, next door also told you that your HOA was going to force everyone to speak Spanish. And was that true? No. Okay, well, we're going to be all done with the terrorist word or Trump time is not going to happen. Capiche?
Oh, God, that is just, these are hard to watch. But I do it for you guys, by the way. I do it for you guys. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Yeah. Gratitude makes you immune to bullshit, which is why I'm grateful out of spite. Great point, Strider. I like that. I like that. Vagabond, I'm the racist uncle. I appreciate you, man. You're free to be the racist uncle at my Thanksgiving anytime. Oh, how is this real? Well, Kayla, I'll tell you how it's real. This is like she thought of a catchy social media brand and she's putting it out there. So that's like, I mean, it's to be fair, it gets a lot of engagement. Now, a lot of it is hate. Remember, a lot of this is actual rage bait. But as we're going to see, I'm going to go through a few more of these. We're eventually going to get to the videos where she actually is speaking to adults, and you'll see there isn't that much of a difference. I don't know 100% about this woman. I don't know like every little thing about her, but like my understanding is that she actually was in early childhood education. I don't know if she was like a preschool teacher or what she was, but she actually does have a history of working with children, and that's why she has this way of speaking to them, right? And again, she never fully turns it off. Even when she's speaking to adults, she never fully turns it off. And it doesn't matter. Again, you can hear the tone. You can hear it, and it just grates on the ears. I don't know if they understand this, but like to young men, especially like young, rambunctious, creative, independent-minded young men, this is nails on a chalkboard. It's excruciating. It is not. Is your goal just to dunk on people for likes and follows, or is your goal to change people's minds? And if you're an educator, then your goal has to be to change people's minds, right? Your goal is to give people information. But if you're, this is how, and again, people are refusing to hear this. Refusing to hear that the education system, which is supposed to be turning people into good citizens, good, well-read, thoughtful citizens who can participate in the society in a meaningful way, who can do their civic duty, who can, meaningfully create a society that can be brought forward from the present into the future. So that's the goal of all of us alive today. We got to take our society and take it from the present and bring it into the future. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And the education system has created a bunch of young men who are accelerationists, who are nihilistic, who are asking a lot of questions about the Jews. It's bad. It's bad. And at some point, you might be curious about how that happened. And you'd be hard-pressed to blame toxic masculinity when it seems like these young men haven't been exposed to any masculinity whatsoever. Pretty sure this POS doesn't even have any kids. Yeah, almost certainly. Almost certainly. The other thing, too, is that, like, well, okay, but think about this. Like, we have this scenario where we separate children from their parents, and we have the parents working all day as interchangeable cogs in the capitalist machine, and then we take them to like state-run day orphanages to care for them, disrupting all the bonding and stuff that's supposed to happen. Even in the best of scenarios, where you have one parent working and one parent staying home, then you have boys being raised exclusively by women, seeing their father maybe like a couple hours a day at the most. Right? That's very atypical in human history. I know we harken back to that, like the man working, woman staying home model, but that was true for like 2 decades in the 20th century. The rest of time has not been like that. Has not been like that. It's very like the fact that like children spend hardly any time with their parents, and then in adolescence you're like, my parents don't understand me, and then as an adult we throw our old people into storage units when they're no longer economically useful. Like, that's fucking nuts, man. Like, that's just very weird things we do as a society that are highly, highly, highly atypical if you look back at human history. That is just, like, not how things have been historically. It's creating all kinds of problems downstream. All kinds of problems downstream. And the day orphanages are run exclusively by women. And they're run according to, like, feminine norms. So for young, creative, independently minded men, this becomes excruciating to live in those conditions. To be spoken to that way is excruciating. They hate it. Let's see. Let's see. I'm seeing quite a few folks just giving up and banking on robot wives. Yeah, for real. We're gonna get into that, dude. The robot. Here's the thing. The robot wives are getting too good for women to keep acting like this. I know it's not all the women, but it's enough of them that it's a problem. That's the thing. It's like people ask us, it's like, why aren't men dating now? And it's like video games and porn got way better and women got worse. So what's happened since the 90s is the video games and the porn got way better and the women got way worse. Not good. Not good. So that's why somebody better check it out. That's why that happened. So see you guys now. Yeah. They have superiority issues and control issues. However, they are also not in my backyard. So trust and believe that once it's done to them, they will flip their own narrative. This is what happens when you believe your reputation is worth more than your actual character. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's the problem is like this is coming from a place of fear, I think. I think especially in the way that this is being weaponized against young men, because young men are quite boisterous, and I think I've noticed this. I've heard female teachers talk about how much stupider they find male students than female students, and ask why do you think this? And it's like, oh, because she brought up an anecdote about a male student like putting a staple into his hand, and he was surprised that it hurt. Or it's like, yeah, that's just what they do. It's just what they are. It's just like it's not stupid. It's just boredom. Like, I don't think she's like, I don't understand. The girls can just like sit down, shut the fuck up, turn their work in on time, do as they're told, repeat the memorized facts, succumb to the nagging. Why can't the boys do it? And it's like, because they're not supposed to. You're asking them to do something that's antithetical to their nature. But of course, when you're talking to leftists, these are people who do not believe in human nature. Like, I actually tried to have this conversation with an educator one time, and I could not get her to concede that men and women are different enough that they should maybe be educated differently. Like, or that they might respond to different educational models, or that the education system might be easier for women to adapt to or girls to adapt to than for boys. I couldn't get her to concede on any of that because she does not believe that men and women are different. Like, she does not believe that men and women have a different nature. She thinks that they're identical. So again, because you're dealing with people who believe in the blank slate, so they don't see that this is a problem. By the way, girls don't like being spoken to this way either. They could just tolerate it better. Like, the school system is also horrible for girls, but it's just not as bad. And, girls aren't like turning, fascist in high numbers. So that's not where we're putting our focus today. Let's see. You shouldn't even speak to a child this way. That's true. I think this is all, the whole like gentle parenting way of speaking is in general psychotic and counterproductive. I don't believe in baby talk for children or women, by the way. I don't think you should baby talk anybody. I think it's a stupid use of maybe cats. Probably not even cats though. I think if you speak to children at a level they can understand, like they're kind of like mini adults. You speak to them like a little bit ahead of their understanding and see where they get. And then you let them kind of like pick things up because that's how they learn. If you speak to them a little bit ahead of what they can understand, then they can kind of learn stuff. So you got to kind of break things down, but it's not necessary to use this like super obnoxious, like, baby voice and use all these like retard words to speak to them. You could just tell them stuff. But this is downstream of like not ever wanting to say no to young children when that's like 100% necessary. This is why we have so many nightmare babies. By the way, this is why Gen Alpha is so dog shit. This is why all the millennials who got indoctrinated into therapy culture and have adopted, gentle parenting and because, they didn't like it when their mom took away their PlayStation. And now we have a generation of children that are fucking nightmares because they've never heard the word no. And society will tell them no at some point. That's the other thing, too, is you have to prepare them for the realities of integrating into a society with other people. And if you allow them to behave in a way that's unpalatable, then they're going to be unpalatable for other people. You do not want a child that is poorly socialized. Because a child that's poorly socialized is going to be surrounded by people who are lying to them all the time. Because adults will pretend to tolerate them. And children won't play with them. So children that are poorly socialized, you're setting them up for failure later in life. You have to teach them boundaries. You have to condition them to hear the word no so that when they hear it, they don't freak out. You have to condition them for what life is like to some degree. That's your job, is to prepare them for life. But this gentle parenting, and of course it's like the school system has just been inundated with it. Right. And it scales up. It doesn't ever really go away. The nagging and shrieking and the condescension doesn't ever really go away in the school system. It's a constant, and men find it excruciating. In fact, it is also this is also the underlying force in corporate culture in America. So, yeah, it's all very, very, very subtle and passive aggressive. It's very hard for men who are creative and boisterous and competitive and ambitious to integrate into it now because of it. It's just unlivable. You ever talk to somebody with I know some of you people have corporate jobs. You guys know what I'm talking about. But if you talk to people that have corporate jobs, they just look fucking defeated. They look like the life has been drained out of them. The left-leaning woman can't understand why they can't convert folks to their side. No one can take someone else seriously in a convo if they're going to talk like a preschool teacher. That's exactly right. This is leftists. They don't understand because a lot of it's either that tone or it's the they're that tone. And they don't understand why that's not persuasive. It's just listen to me. And the reason they're bad at reasoning with people is because women's software that comes preloaded is meant for dealing with children. As women are supposed to have authority over children. That's normal. Right? That's normal. But that's the only toolkit they have. They don't have a toolkit preloaded for persuading adults or for having authority over adults. They don't have that. So they got to learn it. And they don't want to because learning is hard. But like that's what they just do, and I say because you don't have to reason with a child. You can just make them do stuff, right? You don't have to reason with a child, generally speaking. Try reasoning with a 3-year-old. Let me know how that goes for you. Sometimes you just got to make them do stuff. Just eat your fucking applesauce, you ungrateful dipshit. I mean, I wouldn't say that to a 3-year-old. I would say that to a 3-year-old. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be real with you. I probably should. I probably shouldn't. Probably should deal with children. But that's what That's like, I know a woman like this, and she even tried to trigger her family into a fight at her husband's funeral. Jesus, or brother's funeral. Jesus Christ. Okay. Jesus Christ. But that's we. The thing is, it's not. I know this preschool teacher, like social media influencer lady, is like really fun to talk about, and I know that's one isolated example, but it is like it's indicative of a larger trend. And the fact is, we all know women who do stuff like this, who use a really patronizing, condescending, know-it-all tone when they deal with you, and they speak to you as if they would speak to a child, as if your thoughts, beliefs, and opinions are so stupid that they're not worth considering, and that you need to be educated out of it. Let me educate you. You need to be educated out of it. You know, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's like, no, and it's not only is it unpersuasive, it rubs people the wrong way. By the way, women do not like this either. Women do not like this either. This is a specific subset of really patronizing leftist women who are desperate for control and power over other people. Right? Women do not like this either, for the record. This is a particular subset of leftist women we're talking about here. And we all know women who are like this. We all know women who use techniques like this to gain coercive control over whether it's family members or the workplace or, in this case, the political sphere. Liz, also, I can tell you lots of parents and working with children, gentle parenting doesn't work on children. You are mental to think it will work on adults. Absolutely. This is very common. Like, I'm not, like, we all know people who I know, and listen, if you're 30 plus, which I am, which according to the percentages I'm seeing, at least 40% of my audience is like 25 to 34. So if you're in that age demographic, you probably know somebody with kids. And if you know multiple people with kids, some people are trying gentle parenting and some people are doing something different. And you can see the difference. I have a good buddy who, raised his daughter. She heard the word no a lot. She's doing pretty well, but she's also like brave and courageous, thoughtful, and an independent thinker. And she's like, Jesus, she's like 13 now, so she's like, you got to see how that turned out. I can tell you, hearing the word no did not make her timid. It made her persuasive. She's turning into a hell of a negotiator. And then I do know people who are going with the gentle parenting route. From my perspective, doesn't seem like it works. And this is what's interesting about it. I do think it has adverse impacts on the child. But what I really notice is I feel like the parents who are trying it are the ones who are really suffering. So I feel like the parents who are trying to gentle parent children are, kind of driving themselves slowly insane. Like they're stuffing all that anger and frustration and all that stuff. They're like putting it in the jar, right? Because if your kid is annoying you, even if it's not their fault, even if they're engaging in like regular childlike behavior and they're being annoying, here's the thing. You're not the only one that finds that annoying though. Everyone is going to find that annoying. And if the child doesn't receive corrective feedback, they're going to assume their behavior is fine and they're going to keep doing it. So this behavior that's annoying to you is also going to be annoying to other people. It's also going to be annoying to their peers. It's also going to be annoying to other adults who encounter the behavior, right? So you're doing your child a huge disservice by not offering a corrective. And of course, with adults, they're going to find it infuriating. Now, again, she is doing an exaggerated thing, but, when you actually look at how leftist women speak to adults, it's really not that dissimilar. It's really not that dissimilar. Let's see. Honestly, the education system is just as bad. School classroom learning should have moved to a complete Montessori learning system. Very based. Montessori schools are quite popular in my sector of the internet. It's true. Like, so public education as it exists now was started on a model to create obedient factory workers. And now is, I think it's pure indoctrination. There is a part of me, this is just my little personal conspiracy theory, that when we took Christianity out of schools, that left a void, and religion is an inevitable part of education because it's a necessary part of the human spirit, I think. And what I mean by that is, I think when Christianity left the schools, wokeness came in and filled the void. And I've said for a while, I've said on this show, I've said on other shows, wokeness has a lot of the qualities of a religion. And I think it's filling for the people who are engaging in wokeness enthusiastically. It looks a lot like religious practice to me. And just outside looking in, and as someone who, it has a lot of, I was in Southern California when I was in law school, so I was hanging out with a lot of woke people, and at that time I had a lot of woke beliefs. I wasn't fully bought in, but I had a lot of woke beliefs. And what's weird about it is like when it's not being reinforced by the group, it dissipates. So that's very interesting about wokeness. If you can get people, it kind of functions like a cult. It has like mantras. It has saints. It has, a eunuch priest class, trans women, drag queens, etc. It's very interesting. It functions a lot like a religion, and it has mantra like trans women are women, Black Lives Matter. It has faith-based beliefs. It makes metaphysical claims about the existence of a gendered soul that differs from the sex of the body. Like that your spirit can be male when your body is female, or vice versa. Like that's a metaphysical claim, right? And these are faith-based beliefs that you must believe in the face of contradictory evidence. And also these are faith-based beliefs where you must constantly virtue signal your piety, and how many of the belief, and how you gain status is, one, by being a victim, but two, by publicly signaling how many of the beliefs, like we need to normalize fill in the blank thing. And it's always pushing the wokeness one step further. It's like, no. My wokeness includes pedophiles. That's how woke I am. I'm so woke, I think pedophiles are good. Please don't clip that. Fuck. Please don't clip that. All right, it doesn't matter. We're moving on. It doesn't matter. The point is, they're constantly virtue signaling, and that's one of the ways they're getting. This looks a lot to me like the purity spirals you see within fundamentalist religious sects, especially the ones that are jockeying for political power. Because if there's political power connected to religious piety, best believe psychopathic people are going to be in there trying to prove how religious they are, because that's going to lead to real world power. 100%. And this is evident in the history of the Catholic Church. And this is evident in the history of, Protestant Puritans. Every church. Muslims, I'm sure, do this. This was what Jesus was upset with the Pharisees for doing. Was the virtue signaling, the constantly, this is why Jesus was against public prayer, because it was virtue signaling. Look how holy I am, because I want to use my holy reputation to gain power, earthly power. Yeah, so that's the Weasel. Weasel's here. What's up, Weasel? Physical repercussions are effective and faster, though. Yes. Okay. So this is a good point. So if you guys read Starship Troopers, if you haven't read Starship Troopers, read Starship Troopers, because there's a scene in there where one of the soldiers, one of the Starship Troopers, fucks up and he gets lashes, and that's his punishment, right? And I thought about that for a long time. So I went to Catholic school, and Jesuit schools are very feminine in the ways that they run. They're just like other schools. I know you think, Catholic school, that must have been based in conservative. Not really. I mean, in terms of the moral teaching, I would say so. But in terms of the ethos, it's still majority female teachers, majority female administration. And this is what punishment looked like, was they'll kind of take you aside and they'll do a struggle session. If they think you've done something wrong, they'll be like, you did this, right? And you'll be like, no, I didn't do that. Or they'll be like, you did this, and this was why you did it, right? You were thinking this, right? And it's just like that. And they'll just kind of talk to you and try to get you to talk about what you did, why you did it, the feelings you were having while you did it. And look, this can last for hours. And they'll just kind of corner you and subject you to a struggle session. I don't know if you guys have seen Adolescence on Netflix, but that scene where he's with the therapist and she's just like struggle sessioning him and he's kind of going crazy and he's like tripping over his words. That's a lot like what these punishments look like from like these female administrators and female teachers. And for like a male student who's just like, you just ask him to sit there and like open up about his feelings, he just like doesn't have the toolkit to do that. A lot of times it's like, how do you explain? It's like, hey, he doesn't have the self-awareness to do this. I know this because I'm an adult. It's like, I'm rebelling because this environment is highly, highly restrictive. And I feel like the way that I natively approach the world is being demonized and treated like some kind of, character defect. And I don't think I've done anything wrong. I think I'm just being like a normal, adolescent boy / man. And I'm trying to just explore the world and I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to push on boundaries and I'm trying to see what I can go. And I don't have any outlet for this desire to go out and explore and to learn and to engage with the world and to speak and to debate. I don't have any outlets for this. All I'm getting here is sit down, shut the fuck up, let the girls lead, be more like the girl. That's all I'm getting here. I'm not getting shit. So it's like, I'm not getting any like male mentorship. I'm not getting any guidance. I'm not getting anything. And so I'm acting out because that's how I am. I don't know what to do. But I didn't have the self-awareness at the time. But that's what I was going for, right? That was what I was going through at the time. And then, having to sit there and explain your feelings to these hostile. And by the way, if you could tell them the truth, and if they don't like the truth you told them, they'll just be like, "No, that's a lie. Tell me the truth." It's like it's like one of these interrogation scenes where you get a false confession kind of deal. Eventually, at some point, once you've been in there for an hour or two, you'll just say whatever you have to say so they let you leave. And then once they've induced a confession from you, right, then they'll tell your parents and then you'll get punished twice. Right. So if you're asking me, would I rather do a 3-hour struggle session with some fucking millennial broad with a humanities degree, or would I rather get my hands tied to the flagpole while a grown man hits me 10 times with a bamboo stick? I'd rather get hit 10 times with a bamboo stick 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. 11 times out of 10, I'm taking the bamboo stick because it's over. It doesn't take 2 hours. It takes maybe 10 minutes. And it sucks. It smarts. It hurts. It's like, ow, I wish that hadn't happened. But guess what? It's like Louise was saying, physical repercussions are effective and faster, though. And this is especially true for men, for boys and men. It's way, way, way better when they break the rules, hit them with a stick. Then put them back in line. That's it. That is better. And by the way, that used to be how we did things until we decided that was inhumane. And that was I think is the gradual feminization of education. I don't think you should hit women with sticks, by the way. I think this is a uniquely male experience. I actually do believe that. That's not, I'm not being ironic and I'm not being cheeky. I actually do think that's a better punishment for boys and men if you're educating them with male teachers in a more competitive, kind of more aggressive environment where, punishment, instead of looking like a 2-hour struggle session where we have to talk about my feelings about what I did and why I did it, just hit me with a stick. Just hit me with a stick. I'm serious. You can clip that. That's fine. Oh, man. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Let's actually do more of these Miss Frazzled videos because, let's see. What is this one? Let's see. Which is this one? Is this a different one? Oh, this is interesting. We haven't done this one yet, so we're going to see. Boop. This is gentle parenting your anti-immigration aunt at Thanksgiving.
Get your bubble, Aunt Marge. I know you're really, really passionate about this, but friend, do you remember what Thanksgiving is about? It's a holiday about the time that a bunch of people from Europe decided to live in a country with no permission.
Okay, so what she's talking about is conquest. And she's trying to draw a parallel between conquest and uh, illegal immigration. And I don't know if that's making the point that she thinks it is. Because I also agree that illegal immigration is a type of conquest. But that doesn't mean that I think we should let them do it. Right? I still want to win. I want my civilization to exist in the future. And that doesn't make me a bad person, by the way. That's what's crazy, is like wanting your civilization to exist in the future, wanting the values of your civilization to carry forward in the future, and saying that as demographics change, as the language changes, as the culture changes, as the values change, as people come here who do not share the same values as me, that is going to result in the culture shifting in some ways. That's not a crazy thing to say. That's like the most, that's just reasonable. That's just reasonable. That's just obviously true. That's just thinking in a way that's rooted in reality. And by the way, wanting your civilization to exist in the future, wanting your cultural values to move into the future, wanting your descendants to live in a prosperous nation that shares the same values as the one you grew up in, is the most normal human desire you could possibly imagine. And to try to pathologize that is crazy, because that's a desire that every human being has had through all the whole history of time. And it's totally normal to want that. It's totally normal. And she's trying to frame it like it's such a stupid and childish thing to want that it warrants being spoken to like a preschooler. Go ahead. Sorry, I just had to get that out at the top. Go ahead.
They did not speak the language.
Right.
Oh, it was really different. They were also really, really unkind to the people who already lived there. Have you ever met an immigrant? No, Grandpa Norm stepped off of a...
I've met immigrants. They're hit and miss, to be honest with you. Some of them I like. Some of them I do not. And pretty much like regular people. I like the ones that, if you talk, what's crazy is if you talk to immigrants, a lot of them fucking hate illegal immigration, like with a passion. Like the things that I've heard legal immigrants say about illegal immigrants, I'm like, oh my God, I would never say that. That would be, God, this feels racist. I don't know what to do. And they're like, I don't give a fuck. That's what I think. It's crazy because legal immigrants, it is kind of a slap in the face to legal immigrants, because universally, if you ask an immigrant what their story of getting here and getting their legal status was, it was universally very difficult unless they like married into it. Even then, it's a giant pain in the ass usually to get into this country legally. It's very, very hard. And for the people who do it, when you say to them, yeah, we're just going to give the same legal status you have for free, we're just gonna give amnesty to all illegal immigrants, and we're just gonna let them in for free. They're like, the fuck you are. They are the most. This is why, by the way, this is why Donald Trump did so well, particularly with Hispanic men. That and the LGBTQ issues, that was crazy. Like the culture war issues, like the Hispanic men were not gonna go for that. But yeah, that's this idea that like it's only native white citizens who oppose illegal immigration is insane. And also, like, the other thing too about colonialism, I'll go over this really quickly, is this idea that the white people came here and that the natives were just helpless and we just like waffle stomped them into oblivion is completely ahistorical and wrong. That's not true. These were long periods of war that took forever, and a lot of people died on both sides. This is a long period of war. It didn't end well for, one particular side. And by the way, before we got here, all the natives were fighting with each other. So to frame this as like the big bad white people came out and waffle stomped the poor oppressed people is wrong. Human beings fought human beings on this continent, just like they fought each other on Europe, just like they fought each other in Asia, just like they fought each other in Africa, just like they fought each other in Australia, just like they fought each other in South America. Every single continent that has ever had humans on it has had humans fighting each other for power. This is not unique to Europeans, are just like good at conquering stuff. And by the way, the reason they know how to do that is because of Rome. Because Rome was the that gave them the idea to go out and conquer stuff. You know, this is all like extending the Roman Empire. You know, it's all, you know. And there's been lots of empires throughout history. Like the Ottoman Empire was not run by white people. Like, go fucking look it up. Like, Genghis Khan was not a white guy. Like, the idea of, like, riding around and killing a bunch of people and conquering shit was not invented by Europeans. The idea of enslaving people was not invented by Europeans. The idea of that slavery was bad and should be abolished was invented by Europeans. So, the fact that we have the ability to reflect on our history and judge ourselves morally is... that's a reflection of the superiority of our values, because nobody else is fucking doing that. Everybody else is just like, our history's awesome, we want to fucking conquer you. That's everybody else. It's everybody else. And it's weird because we're like trying to like reach out and like be Care Bears and like hug everybody. And we're trying to hug people who are trying to win. And if you're trying to hug them and they're trying to win, they are going to waffle stomp you. It's much better to do the waffle stomping than it is to be waffle stomped. By the way, do not Google waffle stomp. Don't do that. I'm doing you a favor. Anyway, we'll finish this video and then I'll check in with the chat real quick.
Vote and said, I'm here, and that was the whole thing. No, you silly goosey. Yes. No, Fox tells stories. You know that, right? I think that you are super duper frustrated with a lot of things. And I am too. But putting all of your anger onto a group of people that you have never met is a really sad choice. Got it, got it.
Right, I agree with her. But I would also say that her putting all of her anger onto white men is probably a bad thing. And I know that she's probably met white men, but I would say her putting all of her anger onto white men is almost certainly a bad thing. And I don't know this as a fact about her, but my guess is that she supports the Palestinian cause to the point of being anti-Semitic. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing. So I'm guessing she probably has some problems she's just not aware of, but she doesn't see as problems because she sees it as being like anti-colonialist. Go ahead.
It will not make anything better for you. Okay, hold those words in your brain. Remember them. Remember them, okay? The Bible says, welcome the stranger. Love your neighbor. Do unto others. Do those words match your words?
Okay, so this is really important. So a lot of people, so if you hear somebody say, I'm not a Christian, but I follow the teachings of Jesus, or I follow the actual teachings of Jesus, right? Then you are talking to somebody who does not know what they're talking about. So remember, the devil can quote scripture, so that doesn't mean anything. Like taking those particular verses out of context and then using them to be like a nation state has to go beyond its means to welcome people that it does not have room or resources for at the expense of its native born citizens is like a silly thing. Like, and then you know, Thomas Aquinas talked about this, like the order of people you're supposed to give a shit about. He didn't phrase it that way. I'm paraphrasing, but Thomas Aquinas, great church father. Remember. So it's with the. So remember who Thomas Aquinas is. So at the time, you know, the church said, "Hey, we're going to take our absolutely bestest and smartest autist, and he's going to dedicate the full time, energy, and force of his intellect to deciphering scripture and helping us hammer out some of these doctrinal points." And he did that. And one of the things that he pointed out was the order of shit you're supposed to care about. You're supposed to take care of your family first, and then the people who live immediately around you, and then the people who live in your community, and then the people who live in your nation state. And if all of those people are taken care of, then you can, you know, basically it's this order of your sphere of influence. Like what you shouldn't do. Like if your family is starving because you are overextending yourself to help the poor people in your community or the poor immigrants, it's like that's not a good thing. You're not. It may be virtuous. It is virtuous to help people who are poor or disenfranchised or refugees or whatever. That is virtuous, but it is not virtuous to harm your family to do so, or to neglect your family to do so, or to allow your family to be neglected or to come to harm or to starve to do so. And the problem is, I think that there's only so many resources to go around. And a lot of people here are having a really hard time, and we're looking at the freebies that immigrants are getting. We're kind of like, hey, that's not good. And also, it's shifting the culture. The other thing too is that in a lot of these cities where Democrats are, immigrants can come there and get a ton of benefits and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, if you get free handouts and stuff for coming to the country, that creates an incentive for people to come. It's like, oh, I can come here and I can get access to all this sweet, awesome stuff. That's cool, and I can get jobs and stuff, right? So that creates an incentive to come there. And the reason the Democrats are doing that is because they want to increase their voter base. They're like, okay, well, these people will come here, they'll have children, they'll have children, those children will be raised in Democrat schools, and they'll grow up to vote Democrat, and so we'll increase our share, we'll increase the population, so we'll increase our share in the Electoral College, and then we'll increase our voting power. By the way, this is the 3/5 compromise all over again. This is what it is. This is the same argument because they're like, we're trying to deport them, and they're like, you can't get rid of our slaves. The economy will collapse. You can't have our slaves. We want to keep our slaves. That's not good. We want our slaves. That's literally their argument. You can have this argument with a leftist, and you can point this out. It's like this is the same argument again. It's like we want to count our slaves so that our share of the electorate is bigger. And also the economy will collapse if you get rid of our slaves. And it's like, stop having slaves. Stop having slaves. It's not good to have slaves. They're like, no, we want slaves. And they're acting like you're the bad person. By the way, I don't actually fault the immigrants for this. I think the immigrants are following their rational self-interest. Like if they go to some of these cities in California where they can get free shit, and that's awesome. And if let's say I'm an immigrant and I'm like, oh, if I go to this country and I can get free shit. If I have a child here, that child will be a citizen, and then they won't deport me. Okay, fair enough. And then my child will be a citizen, and it's like let's keep, And there's some debate about whether or not illegal immigrants are actually voting or not. Some people are saying they are. I don't have any hard proof on that in front of me. That's something people have said, but to the extent it's like, okay, if I want to have more free shit, then I should keep voting for Democrats because the Democrats are the ones who are giving me free shit. So that's as if I'm an immigrant and I'm like having child here, if I'm the child of immigrants and I'm being raised in this country, that's in my rational self-interest. So I'm going to pursue that. Like there's nothing inherently evil about that. That's just them following the incentives that are laid out in front of them. Now, the Democrats creating those incentives so that they can consolidate power, that's evil because that's coming at the expense of the Americans who already live here. And the billionaire class, by the way, who tends to vote Republican, who are like, no, we should have open borders. The reason the billionaire class wants open borders is so that they can have slave labor. And that's true and that's the Republican side too. So that's the Republican argument for that. There are Republicans who are ostensibly Republicans who want open borders and unfettered immigration. And that's because the billionaire class wants to have slave labor so they can depress wages, I don't really blame the immigrants for doing it because they're like, if you're telling me I can come here, I can make a bunch of money, I can get free handouts from the government, I can, have children who are citizens in this country, and I can, and I can get them an education, and I can get all this stuff. I'm gonna do that. Like that's just follow. But the point is creating those incentives, at the expense of the people who already live here is the problem. And also, if you bring in a bunch of people who don't speak the language and don't share the same cultural values, that's going to change the culture of the place. And you can see it. You can see if you just look around, it just shit looks different than it did in the 90s because the demographics have shifted pretty considerably. And that's not racist to notice. Anyway, let's go through that. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got in the chat. LMFAO, a eunuch priest class. Just spit out my drink. You got it. Happy to be here. That was a free one. My dad said where he went to Catholic school, the nuns beat you. Yeah, my mom went to a Catholic school where the kids got hit too. And it's actually better. It's better. It doesn't sound like it sounds meaner, but it is in fact better. It's better than these crazy psychotic HR department style struggle sessions. That's I'd much rather have the physical beating than the psychological torture. LFG, let's fucking go. Ray, what's up, buddy? Haven't met you. You must be new to the channel. Happy to be here. Nice to see you. Haven't seen him around before, but happy he's here. Nice guy. Watch. We're waffle stomping. Watcher X is here. What's up, buddy? Friend of the channel. It will not make anything better for you. That sounds like a threat. Yeah, that's the thing about this is all of this sweet talking and these the baby talk and everything is concealing thinly veiled threats. That's a nice catch. It's pretending to not be threatening when in fact it is quite sinister, right? And remember, there's all this, like I just laid out, there's a rational discussion to be had about the effects of immigration that has nothing to do, that does not require you to call immigrants evil, does not require you to be racist. You could just lay out a rational case for why there is such a thing as too much immigration and why placing limits on who's allowed to come into the country is in the rational self-interest of the nation state. By the way, every other country in the world does that, has limits on who can come into the country. It's only the United States, and I guess for some reason Western Europe has caught this same bug where it's we have to just let everybody in, and anybody who says there should be limits on immigration is a racist. I don't know why. That's retarded. Nobody does that. Every nation state places limits on who can come in. That's totally normal. And by the way, that's I'm not entitled to go live in France. If I want to go live in France, I have to ask permission from the French government to stay there. And if I'm going to be there, I should probably learn some French. I should learn the French laws. I should learn the French custom. I should do my absolute best to try to integrate into French society such that I'm not a nuisance or a burden or creating problems. Right? Because I'm a guest in their country. It's not my country. I'm a guest there. And that's totally fucking normal. That's totally fucking normal. It's crazy that we're even having this discussion. That's totally rational. It's totally rational. And we could have that, but we cannot have that discussion without people look at the look on her face. Does that look like this is a woman who is trying very, very, very hard to use aggression, but hide it. And that's the point. I think that's why the baby talk is so fucking annoying, is because it's concealing, it's thinly veiled aggression. This goes hand in hand with Piers Morgan making a joke about English replacement because he'll get better tikka masala. Unbelievable. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy because Piers Morgan is a quintessentially British person. For fuck's sake, his name is Piers. I can't think of a more British name. Anyway, but he's and if you look at his. But again, the liberal social order. But remember, the liberal social order in the 90s, it was different because, America was 80% white in the 90s. It was it's 66% now. So the demographics, so in the 90s when it's 80, 85% white and you can kind of look around and be oh, well, everybody thinks the same as me and everything is fine and people could just come here and everything's fine, right? And then if it's 66% now, it's oh, well, now it becomes pretty obvious that if people come here from other places, they think differently, they behave differently, and they have different cultural values, and that's going to have an impact on the communities that they enter. You could just notice that. You can notice that, and you can be like, I don't like this. I liked it better the way it was before. You know? And the people are coming. Like, here's the thing: if people are coming here, the whole point of America is it doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you buy into what America's about, you can be American. That's the whole point. But you got to buy into what America's about. And the problem is that people are coming here not buying into what America's about. That's the issue. If it's not the issue is not that people are coming here. If people were coming here and they were being like, I'm all about this America thing. You know, I'm on the side of America. I'm an American. I want to become an American. I want America to succeed. I want to do that. I'm all about it. But people will come here and try to make America more like the place they came from. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not what we want. We don't want that. And the people who live here are like, I don't like that. I want it to be like the way it was. And those people are like, how dare you? How dare you? Now that was clippable. I hate you guys so much. I'm the best audience on the internet, but I just fucking... Where can I sign up to be Jenna Ortega's slave? Damn it, vagabond. No. You're in horny jail. Put him in timeout. My answer to Western colonization is yes, and you're welcome. Bingo. Bingo. Yeah, bingo. It's like, yes, it's true that the West colonized everywhere, and everywhere that they went is better than it was when they found it. And it's like considered like bad to say that, which is crazy. All this like crazy, I don't know if you call it white guilt or like Western guilt or like what the fuck it is. I don't know what it is, but feeling guilt, I don't know. It must be like feeling guilty about how prosperous and successful and awesome the societies that we live in are, and how easy it is for us to access things like food and education and water and healthcare and fucking healthcare is tough to get. Obviously, it sucks here, but like for most of human history, healthcare made things worse, not better. It wasn't until like I think it was like 1890 is the point where historians agree. I forget what the exact year is, but there's actually a period. I think it's late 1800s where people agree. Okay, this was the period where medicine did more good than harm. Prior to that, healthcare basically just killed you. And we complain about how hard it is to get fucking healthcare, but the fact is the healthcare that exists today is miraculous in comparison to what has existed in previous generations. And I know access is hard to get, but the fact is, like, come on, man. You got stuff. We got stuff here. We got way better stuff. We're way better at patching people up than any other society has been in the history of time. It's just, we've got so many prosperous things, and all of it is downstream of Western expansion. All of it. So, I mean, we can bitch about it if we want, but, like, even Mexico enforces their borders. That's a great point, Vagabond. I'm so glad. I have the best audience on the internet. I'm telling you. That's such a great point. Even Mexico. By the way, a bunch of Americans have moved to places like Mexico City. And this is true. You can look this up because they work remotely and they can afford, and it's way cheaper to live down there. And the local Mexicans are like, this fucking sucks. Get these people out of here. They don't speak Spanish. They don't honor our customs. They just come here and make everything American. And I fucking hate it. And it's like, no, you get it. Here's the thing. This is not like some unique thing to white racists. This is like normal. If people move to your place and they change where you live to be different, it's okay to not like that. That's like a normal human emotion. And we're trying to like demonize it like it's some pathology. We're trying to gaslight people into thinking that it's like weird to notice that shit. And we're trying to talk to, I mean, look at the fucking look on our face. Anyway, we got to finish this. This video. Go ahead.
No. Okay, let's practice then. I don't know many immigrants, so I'm going to be curious instead of scared. Grandpa Norm does not count, Aunt Marge.
Ugh, boy. Oh man. God. It's just, yeah, I think this painting everyone who has right-wing political beliefs as fearful and ignorant is a huge problem. Because they're just, it positions you in a position of inferiority. And that's why they feel like they can talk to you like you're, like you're a preschooler, why they can use baby talk to talk to you. That's where that's coming from, is because they believe that you are inherently stupider than them. And it's crazy because they don't know anything. Like, if you actually talk to leftists, a lot of times they'll be like if you ask them questions about history, like if you ask them, like if they bring up European colonization, colonialism, and you bring up the Ottoman Empire, they'll be like, I don't know what that is. And if they talk about communism being good and you bring up like the Ukrainian famine, or if you bring up like bad things that happened under Stalinism or like gulags or whatever, they'll be like, well, that was not real communism. All right. Usually they haven't heard of it. Like I've run into this a lot where I'll bring up like, hey, the Ukrainian famine got so bad that people ate their children in soup because their children died of starvation. So they ate them because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have any other food. Isn't that bad? Isn't that bad? And they'll be like, oh, well, I've never heard of that. But if it is bad, if anything bad happened because of communism, it was always because Joseph Stalin was evil. It was never because that was an inevitable consequence of communism. It's always real communism has never been tried. And if it has been tried, I haven't heard of it. It's really crazy how you could bring up all these historical examples and they just like don't know it. But you're the one who's uneducated. Remember, and they could say like just like flagrantly ignorant things about them, like saying the founding father. Like we did a video on the show one time. Shout out to Touch Grass, my other show. We did a video where there's a woman who was claiming that the founding fathers had less education than the average 12-year-old has today, and that's just not true. That's just not true. The founding fathers were highly educated, multidisciplinary masters who had read hundreds of books, if not more. Had been through a very difficult educational process, that had written extensive treatises on a variety of different subjects. Multidisciplinary masters, knew multiple languages, knew mathematics, philosophy, debate, history. They'd studied absolutely everything. They're very, very, very learned people. And it's just not true. And by the way, it's free. The information to know that is free. You just go to a library and read some history and you'll find these things out. It's not even hard. Like, American history is the easiest history to learn. It seriously is. It's so easy to learn. There's so much, it's so accessible. There's so many books available. You could just learn it. It's easy. And in fact, they teach it to you in school if you fucking pay attention. I mean, maybe they don't. Nowadays, we're seeing, education is inundated with broads like this. So it's like, So it's like, it's crazy how fucking historically illiterate leftists are. In fact, it is a requirement of being a leftist to be historically illiterate, because the more history you look at, the more you're like, oh fuck, maybe there are repeating patterns. Maybe human nature is inevitable. God, there's this video I saw the other day. I should have saved it. I don't save all the videos that I should save. There's one who was like, I just don't understand why we do war. Why do we do war? Why can't we just not do war? And it's like, because this is a man who said this, by the way, in case you think I'm being sexist. And the reason is because war is an inevitable part of human nature. It's just part of it. It's just part of a thing. It's just a thing humans do, and they're never going to not do it. Right. It's just how it is. It's just how humans are. Can't do anything about it. Don't know what to tell you. And if you read history, you will come to some conclusions about human nature. If you look at the way people have acted throughout time, and some of the smartest, and the idea that like the people who live in the present are smarter than all of the people who've ever existed before us is just stupid. Because some of these people were absolutely brilliant, and it's clear that they were brilliant. And it's clear that they really had their shit together in a significant way. And they would look at the things that we believe in our society today. A lot of pre-industrial societies would look at our society today and be like, you guys are completely retarded, completely upside down and backwards in the way that we view things, like men and women being the same. Most pre-industrial societies had figured out that wasn't true, and they would think we were absolutely stupid for thinking that it wasn't. or for the blank slate, or like thinking that you could just take any kind of people from anywhere in the world, regardless of their background, and then program them to act like Americans. They'd be like, no, that's stupid. You can't do that. And they had that figured out. Now, they maybe believe some dumb shit from our perspective, but the thing that I think people in the modern world forget is that we also believe dumb shit from their perspective. Like, they had stuff figured out that we, because of our arrogance, have forgotten. And because of our arrogance, we think we're so much smarter and so much better. We live in a post-history society. History only moves forward. We'll never have another Dark Ages. We'll never have another famine, right? We'll never have another period of incredible social strife, even though we're arguably in a period of civil strife right now as we speak. If we look up all the incidents of political violence this year, shout out to the National Guard troops who just got shot yesterday. You know, I'm telling you, dude, like, this is a very, very difficult period we're going through. And being in denial about it, about human nature, is, if anything, it's causing it. Like, being delusional and in denial about human nature is not helping you deal with human behavior as it happens. Just so you fucking know that. Again, leftists make me furious because of they talk to you with the condescension like you don't fucking know anything, when it's actually them who doesn't fucking know anything. That's infuriating. And it's like, look, I'm not saying we should. And by the way, the result of this is once, you know, this is how our education system is run. It's producing more of this. And this becomes excruciating for especially young men to live under. And then they become... And because we didn't educate them about history, we got a whole generation of young men who do not understand why fascism is bad. And they're like, well, fuck you. Well, fuck you. And I want to do... They were raised and told by naggy broads like this. Well, let's share this again. Naggy broads like this: don't be racist, don't be sexist, don't be homophobic. And in order to stick it to authority, just like, by the way, just like humans have always done throughout time, adolescent men like to rebel against authority, and the way that they are able to rebel against authority is by becoming fascists. That's the thing that would upset these type of people the most. You know, so this is, I mean, and of course they're not going to learn anything from this. I don't know what in my audience is going to, is like this. So you guys all agree with me. So it's like, it sucks. I just wish that like they would actually fucking learn from this. Let's see what else we got. We're going to check in with the chat, and then we're going to do another one of these videos. And then I got another one after this. Colonization made the countries the supposed victims want to live in. Yeah, bingo. It's like, if our countries are so bad because of colonialism, why do you keep trying to come here? That sucks, but it's like, and look, I'm not saying it's like good necessarily. It's like, this is just how things are. It's just how things are. Like being like moralizing about it and whining about it and bitching about it and crying about it isn't going to change it. It's like let's deal with the facts on the ground. Let's deal with human nature as it is, not how we would wish it to be. You cannot socially engineer human nature. And that's one of the big things that leftists fundamentally do not understand and have never understood. Let's see. American history is badass, and it is a huge philosophical history that dates back to the English Civil War. The founders knew what the fuck they were doing. Yeah, bingo. And modern leftism traces its history to the Jacobins in the French Revolution. So, and this, by the way, that was always the debate. It was always like the English. It's like, are we going to be more like the English or more like the French? That was all, philosophically speaking. That was always the debate, even going back to the founders. And that's the debate we're still having today, where the left is pulling on this like French intellectual tradition. And the history, I don't know, the history of this country is something to be proud of. It's not something to look at with shame. And the fact that we've created one of the most stable, prosperous, wealthy, productive civilizations that has ever existed in the history of time is something to be proud of and to be grateful for. You should be grateful that you live here. Thanksgiving! Look, I tied the themes together. Be grateful. Be grateful. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I thought you didn't want to go to the climate thingy.
Let's see. Newsom in the spotlight at the climate conference that Trump decided to skip. Okay.
Oh, well, you should say thank you to Gavin and Michelle for going for you, friend. Just because you don't like what someone has to say does not make it a hoax, right? Remember, we're not saying that word right now. I know you really love to play president.
No, I know it's not. It's not climate change is not a hoax when Donald Trump says it's a hoax. But climate change, when Bill Gates says that climate change is not an existential threat to human civilization, that is credible, I assume. Right? 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 It's crazy about that. We got to go into that. We got to do a climate change episode at some point. Because it's crazy that, for somebody like Bill Gates to say that, and how many millennials, I mean, we know this. I mean, chat, you guys know millennial women. How many millennials chose not to have children, and one of the reasons they cited was climate change? How many, I know just me personally, when I have expressed a desire to have children, I have had friends of mine say, what about climate change? This is I think we've actually done enough of these videos. I actually want to do, I want to cut away from this because that was kind of an old video. So what we're going to do instead, actually, no, we'll finish this up. Because it's only like a couple more minutes. But this is crazy. And again, this is an example of leftists being so sure they're right that it gives them the right to talk to you like this, right? And still being wrong. Isn't it crazy? And they don't feel shame about it. That's the thing. They're not ashamed of it because they believe they're morally right. Even if they're factually wrong, they believe they're morally right. Shout out to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, my favorite caked up Latina. Let's go.
But he's playing president right now. Got it? It really looks like you actually have some super serious business to take care of here, right? But you don't have to get along with everyone. You just have to know that if you don't do your job, somebody else might do it for you. Okay, when you say great, do you mean just for the people who agree with you and give you McDonald's, or everyone? Friend, I know that you want to try president again, but it takes so much hard work. It's not just all secret files in your bathtub and taking the desk home and true social time, right? No, catch a bubble. I think your body actually needs a break. Do you want to go draw some New Yorks with your Sharpie? Okay.
Oh, God. She does not understand why this is upsetting people, but I know what you're thinking. Audience, you're thinking, well, some of you were thinking, I hate this bitch and her entire bloodline. Fair enough. Okay. Some of you think that as well, but some of you were thinking, Theo, you're being uncharitable. You're taking parody videos where she's using a cartoonishly childlike voice to speak to adults, and you're acting like this is representative of how she speaks to adults, and it's not, or how it's representative of other leftist women speak to adults, and that's not. It's like wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's not what let me show you something. So we're actually going to do this, which is her at the White Women for Kamala thing, Zoom call. And this is what she had to say there. So this is a relatively short clip of her talking, but this is how she speaks to a bunch of grown-ups. Now, bear in mind, these are women, but they're grown-ups. Go ahead, sweetheart.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals or God
BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, people of color. Go ahead.
forbid correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on.
Do you see that? That's how she talks to adults. Go ahead.
As white women, we need to use.
You see that? She talks to adults the same way. the same way, because once you get in the habit of speaking that way, you can't ever fully turn it off. That's what I'm saying. So imagine being a guy who's like 15 and this is how your teacher talks to you. Like, yeah, you got it exactly right, Strider. It's vocal fry on adults needs to go away. Speak clearly, damn it. Exactly. Imagine being like a 15-year-old guy and your teachers speak to you with vocal fry and just like a little bit of whine and they say, got it. And they listening ears. Remember, imagine being 15, 16, 17, 18 years old and that's how your teachers are speaking to you. Imagine that, bro. This is what I'm saying. They got tired of it. And it's not surprising if you think about it that they got tired of it. It's not surprising at all. It's exactly what we should have expected to happen. Like, at some point, you cannot just condescend and patronize forever and not expect some kind of pushback. Like, at some point, there's going to be a pushback. That's too good. Climate change was important to Bill Gates when he wanted government subsidizing for submersible data centers in the ocean. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So this is what I'm saying is like, this is all about consolidating power and self-interest. That's all this is. And they do not, this is so important. They do not believe that your ideas are worth discussing at all. And because they believe that your ideas are not just incorrect, that they are morally wrong, and that you are bad for having those ideas. You are morally bad for having ideas that disagree with their worldview, because their worldview is not just factually correct, it's morally correct. And if there are facts that disagree with their worldview, then those facts are immoral. And if there are moral principles that disagree with their worldview, then those moral principles are evil. And the way that they call them evil is that they call them racist or sexist or transphobic or homophobic, whatever the word is. You know, they find ways to they use that's a tool. Remember, that's not them actually suggesting that you are racist. They're using that word as a tool to try to win. You know, and the fact that, like, imagine the person who's supposed to be your authority, to be the authority over you, who's educationally, you know, the person who's supposed to be responsible for educating you has vocal fry. It says that remember, these are the same people that think like white men are the root of all evil and responsible for 100% of society's problems. Remember that. It's the same people. Right? It's the same people. So. And remember, it's not just this woman, but it is, you know. This is, yeah, hold on. Let's see, this is kind of the tone. You got to think, okay, so what are young, because if you're wondering, this is something we talk about a lot of the show, is the turn of young men towards fascism. And we're wondering, like, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's like, I know this is like one person, right? And this is just one component of it. But, like, remember, this is who is responsible for educating your children. Right, and it's not just her. Like, she's not responsible for educating all of the nation's children, right? But there are people who think and act and speak like her, who have the same education as her, who have the same beliefs as her, who have the same vocal fry, who have the same nag, who, all that stuff, right? Who believe it's our job as white people to listen to voices of color and to elevate those voices and not to correct them. And we should use our listening ears, right? That's who's educating your children. Right? And at some point, they're going to resent that. And remember, this is also you got to think about, like, what what people are hearing on the phones too, right? Because you remember these same guys, they'll go to school and they'll hear all this horrible shit from their teachers about how bad they are, and then they'll open up their phone and they'll see crazy leftists freaking out, and they'll see clips from the whatever podcast. Is remember that's their predominant experience with women too. For guys, we're talking about the under 25s, right? So they grew up, and their formative years were spent, on 4chan. Most of their formative experiences with women came in the form of clips from the whatever podcast or porn, right? And then they get out in the real world and suddenly they're like maladjusted and like fascism curious. And it's like, yeah, because the fascists treat them like people. The fascists are like, no, you don't have to be ashamed to be a white man. In fact, you should be proud to be a white man. And then there it is, right? The people who are speaking to them and are being like, you should be proud, you should be strong, you should hold your head high. Those people, their message is way more appealing than the nagging vocal fry. And it's like, by the way, not even shocking that that's true. That is like completely logical that they would think that. Right? So if you want to have a fucking country, then you have to get people like that to shut the fuck up, basically. That's my point. That's my point. And the biggest pushback I'm going to get for this that I could conceivably foresee is that, this is, like a parody voice that she uses on social media, that she would never actually speak to adults this way. And yet when we have examples of her speaking to adults, that is exactly the voice that she uses. Right? And she does other more serious political content, which is not the skits where she's doing the preschool teacher voice, but it's the same. Even when it's not performative, it still comes through that way. Even when she's not performing this like hysterical preschool teacher character, it's like, you can still hear the voice. And if you listen to left-wing influencers, they're all a little bit naggy. They're all a little bit condescending. They're all a little bit doing bird hands. I was going to do more videos today. I want to save some of these videos for touch grass this Saturday, because I've kind of got a theme for the show where that's going in that direction. But we basically made it just completely intolerable for young men to exist. We've made the school system intolerable for them. They don't have mentorship. They don't have role models. So they go to the internet and they find people who are doing performatively strong masculinity, and they latch onto the message. This is not rocket science, by the way. And I'm not even saying anything like innovative or new. This is like all completely rational if you think about it for 2 fucking seconds. Like, of course this is going to happen. This is like predictable. It's predictable to the point that people told you about it in like 2015. We told you this was going to happen if you kept doing this. If you kept pushing this narrative, this like victim narrative, this anti-colonial narrative, and you keep saying like white people are bad, and you keep aligning people, you keep drawing circles around people based on like race and gender and sexuality, and encouraging people to group up that way, then eventually white people are going to do that. Eventually. That was going to happen. And it has. And now you have to fucking deal with that. Now there's a turd in the punch bowl, and we have to deal with it. We're all in the party together, and there's a turd in the punch bowl now. And it's called, identitarian politics. Now it's here. So we can't do that, because the whole fucking point of America is that it does not matter who you are or where you come from, but you got to buy into our ideas. You got to think like an American. That's it. As long as you think like an American, you can come here. That's it. That's the only rule. It's the only requirement. You got to think like an American. You got to approve of what we're doing here. And we could disagree about stuff, but we're not going to do. We could disagree about policy and stuff. What we're not going to do is we're not going to fundamentally change the nature of what America is. Because the reason America is so prosperous, the reason people want to come here is because of the nature of what it is. And unfortunately, it is, I think, reached a state where, I think kind of understandably, a lot of people feel like there is no real future for them. I think that's that's an inescapable conclusion. So if you have, a bunch of young men who have, no real economic opportunities, they've got no real mating and dating opportunities, they got no conceivable future, they've got nothing to lose by flipping the table over. And if the whole institutional apparatus feels hostile to them, if the people who decide what the culture is and who make the culture and who educate people decide that there's essentially like nothing of value that young men have to offer, then they're going to flip the table over. That's what's going to happen. So that's a huge bummer, but I'm going to keep talking about it because I'm highly sympathetic to their perspective. I get where they're coming from. I understand it because I went through the school system too. The school system wasn't as bad when I went through it, but it was still bad. So, and I know the millennial women that they have to deal with, and I have to, like, the millennial women that are their teachers or the women that are part of my dating pool, and it's like, fuck, man, this is terrible. It's fucking bleak. Oh, man, it's been good. It's been good. I'm happy. No, I'm happy with this. That's most of the show I wanted to get through today, folks. I'll be honest with you. That's pretty good. I think the rest of the stuff I'm gonna save for I might save for Touch Grass. This is it's good stuff, but it's like we're coming up on the end of the show now. Don't miss out on Touch Grass. That's tomorrow, which is Saturday morning. It's gonna be a very special Thanksgiving edition of Touch Grass. So it's gonna be very cool. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Make sure to hug your families and be grateful to live in an incredible society that was founded on the brilliant colonialism of the awesome, badass, brave men that came before you. And the hot women who had sex with them so those brave men could have children. Yeah. For real. This chick is why folks are getting robot wives. Exactly. This is what I'm saying is like people ask me like why. I don't think anybody who meets me is surprised that I'm not married, but people ask me like, why are you not, you're such a big proponent of marriage. Why are you not married? It's like, because you have to deal with this. It's like, and the fucking dude, here's the thing. The robots are getting good. It's like, we got some videos for this. I'm going to save that for Touch Grass. We're going to have a whole episode about fucking robots. The robots are, they can make a fuckable robot that tells you she believes in your dreams. The second they do that, you will never see me again. I'm not making another podcast. That will be it. You will never see or hear from me again. Not going to happen. Yeah. And this is surprising to them. They're like, I mean, if you talk to a leftist about this, especially leftist women, they honestly don't get it. They'll ask you straight to your face, like, I don't understand why men can't just act more like women. It's like, because we don't fucking want to. It's like not comfortable. They don't like it. We hate it. It's excruciating. It makes life unlivable. They're like, but why not? Yeah, and it's the passive aggression for me personally, like the indirectness and the struggle sessions and the socially isolating and the gaslighting and the shaming and the rallying and the reputation destruction, all that stuff. Like, I'd rather just duel a motherfucker. I'd rather just like fist fight a motherfucker. I'd rather just like have my hands tied to the flagpole and get hit with a stick than have to do any of that shit. And I know that a lot of men feel the same way. Like this like living under the rule of the tyrannical HR department. And I don't mean the literal HR department at your work. I'm sure like Susie from HR is a great lady, but I'm talking about like the metaphorical HR department, the great HR department in the sky that has opposed this feminized tyranny on our culture. You know, that has made life just like excruciating and unlivable for like creative, like thoughtful, you know, spirited, independent-minded men, especially if they're intelligent. It just makes life unlivable. It's just like, and by the way, one of the big problems that is destroying our country right now is our inability to participate and tolerate in direct communication, to speak directly and clearly about what the problems are, what the differences of opinion are, and how we can hash them out. Because remember, what's one of her big things? What's one of Miss Frazzled's big things? Catch a bubble. Like, I don't want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to listen to what you're saying, because I find it offensive. And what does I find it offensive mean? I find it offensive means what you're saying is causing me to have a bad emotion that I don't want to tolerate and I can't regulate, right? It's not saying what you're saying is offensive is not the same thing as saying it's not true. What you're saying what you're saying is offensive is not the same thing as saying it's not true. Okay? So what you're saying can be true, but if it causes me to have a bad emotion, then you have to shut up so that I can feel okay. And one of the unfortunate things about political discussions, if you're going to discuss anything serious, you have to take the risk of possibly being offensive. Yeesh. That might happen. You might say something that offends someone's sensibilities. You might say something that's indelicate, or that like if you're talking about immigration in a serious way, then you might accidentally offend somebody who is an immigrant. That might happen. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about immigration. We have to talk about it. And it may result in someone being offended, but like you still have to have an honest conversation about it. The fact that we have to catch a bubble and use our listening ears is the whole fucking point. Like we have a bunch of problems that are staggeringly obvious that we cannot have decent, reasonable, informed discussions about, because there's a certain subset of the population who are so emotionally dysregulated that they cannot handle listening to an opposing opinion. Here's the thing. In a liberal democracy, you have to be able to listen to opposing opinions, because you're allowed to speak freely and you're allowed to advocate for what you think is right. And the constant debate of what everybody thinks of right is what eventually distills into good policy that benefits most people most of the time. Or at least that's the idea. That's the way the theory works. And if it doesn't work, if you can't do that, then liberal democracy doesn't work. And that's, I think, the position we're in now, where it's like, yeah, I guess this whole liberal democracy thing might have been just retarded. I think this might just not work. You know. And I mean, it's rough, man. It's rough, man. It's a tough situation. So, oh man, but remember, folks, let's all be grateful this Thanksgiving weekend. Let's be grateful for how incredibly prosperous the society in which we live has become. I think it's a society worth fighting for. I think it's worth fighting for a better future. Don't you? I mean, don't you think that? I do. I think it's worth fighting for the future. Weasel making a good point. We're a constitutional republic. That's true. That's true. So the constitutional republic is a subtype of liberal democracy. So liberal democracy is like every government in the West, whether it's like a social democracy or whatever, but we're particularly a constitutional republic. And so people get uppity about that because democracy is the founders associated the term democracy with mob rule. And that's why they established a representative republic where it's like a certain elect subset of people decide what happens, but that subset should be advocating for the people's interests. Now, however, we have universal suffrage. Now, however, right? Like, I don't know I don't know, man. It's looking a lot like. Would you? Let me be honest. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that we are subject to the whims of the mob? Because I kind of do. I kind of think that like the voting public is like a hysterical mob that seems completely incapable of processing rational thought. So if we're saying that the founders, feared mob rule and that was why they insulated us from democracy, then it seems like we've failed catastrophically in that. Now, but yeah, so liberal democracy is a term that refers to like any of the representative governments that exist in the West, whether they're like social democrat or like parliamentarian or any of those. They're all in that same subcategory. Constitutional republic is one of those categories. But like it's weird because so I've heard this theory that the U.S. is split right now because between people who believe in the constitutional republic and people who believe in a multicultural democracy. Right. So then that's so, and it's weird because like you hear this term threat to our democracy. You hear that over and over again. It's never people who are supportive of the constitutional republic model who are saying that. It's people who are supporting the multicultural democracy who are supporting that. And those people tend to be much more in favor of mob rule. Remember what we said, the Jacobin idea? So the Jacobins during the French Revolution supported universal suffrage. That was not an idea supported by the founders. They thought only people who knew what the fuck was going on should be able to decide what happens in the country. And they were realistic about the fact that most people weren't going to be able to do that. And in a democracy, you can vote away your rights, right? We can... Here, they just take them by executive order. Or they pass the Patriot Act. And then the people that you elected to represent you take away your rights. So it's better. No, but yeah, so that's like, you could, it's, but yeah, that's a subtype of, yeah, that's like, hold on, chat's going crazy. We got to check in with the chat. Look at gun control, even though we have 2A, fear has caused masses to vote away the rights we were trying to get back. Yeah, that's a good example of how mob rule and hysteria has kind of taken over. You see that? So it's like, by the way, what Vagabond's talking about here, that's exactly what the founders were afraid of. And that was what they were highly, highly, highly suspicious of, because like, here's the thing, a person is like, it's just the bedded black pope. A person is smart. People are, scared, animals who are likely to riot or whatever the fuck he says, right? A person is rational. A mob is like 2 standard deviations more retarded than a rational person. A mob can only pick up a pitchfork and attack an enemy. Mobs are stupid. They're not reasoning and they can't like think into the future. So once people start thinking like a mob, they become stupid and they become hysterical and they become safety obsessed because they just want to feel safe because they're hysterical and afraid. That's it. Yeah. We've only failed to discredit and disregard the ignorant ideas espoused by the vocal minority. Even within an ideology, the majority of supporters can't speak articulately about the subjects that they want policy changes applied to. This is deeply true. And you'll see this anytime you do street interviews at like protests or something. It's like, free Palestine. It's like, what does that mean? Where on this map would you like Palestine to be? And they can't express. This is what I talk about when I say vibes-based politics. We just have a politics based on vibes now, where it's just like whatever feels good. Right. And we can talk about the role of, feminization in that. The feminization of society, the inclusion of women in more and more important institutions, women dominating education, stuff like that. We can talk about that. But it's not like men are much better, as a class The truth is, like, the founders were probably right that only people who know what the fuck they're talking about should probably decide what happens. And not only that, but the society that exists today is infinitely more complicated than the society that existed at the time the founders thought it up. So, like the issue, think about the issues that we're facing today that are really serious, right? Like the intractable Israel-Palestine conflict, which for some reason is our problem because that has implications for our national self-interest. So we have to be involved in that. And then there's like NATO expansion. And then there's like AI, which is a whole thing. Most of the people who are voting on AI policy have no idea what AI is. Anytime you have one of these hearings where you have somebody from a major technology company get before Congress and you see these super old guys asking questions that show they have no idea what they're talking about, those are the people who are responsible for making the decisions about what we should do about AI. And they have no idea what the fuck it is or how it works or what to even do. They have no idea. They have no idea what's going on. And you have to be informed about all of these issues, like science and technology and fucking like vaccines and healthcare policy and all this stuff. You got to know about all of this to be able to vote intelligently on it. And most people who are in our government know about maybe one or two of those things. Right? Maybe at the most. Some of them know zero. Like AOC knows zero. She knows zero things. She's just really good at making TikTok videos. But she knows zero things, and she has a tremendous amount of power. So we have just like this. But why? Because she has good vibes, right? Because emotionally, it feels good to have like a Latina woman with a great rack in Congress. Like emotionally, that feels good. And she says the right things emotionally that make people emotionally feel good. So we don't have, we are completely untethered from a situation where smart people who know what the fuck they're talking about are making the choices. And we are firmly in the territory of being at the mercy of a hysterical mob of basically chimpanzees with pitchforks who are shrieking at the sky that they want the weather to change. That's who's running the country. And it's like, oh, fuck, what do we do about that? I don't know, man. I definitely think fewer people's opinions should count. And I know that that's like bad to say. A lot of people get hung up on like women specifically shouldn't vote, but I think a lot of men probably shouldn't be voting either. I think that's like the idea that like everybody can, including the people who are like, I'm just going to vote for whoever gives me the most handouts. Because that's how you get like a nation of leeches. Of people who just want more things and don't want to do any work. And the people who are actually productive is becoming fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer, which places an increasing burden on the productive citizens, especially because we fund the government ostensibly with like income tax, which is a punishment for the productive people. And it hits the hardworking middle class people the hardest. Because people who are like, who are like people who are making all their money from like capital gains do not pay nearly as much in taxes as people who are paying their taxes on earned income. By percentage. They pay more in volume, but not as much by percentage. And that really high percentage of taxation really hits hard for the people that are trading, because that means, exchanging hours for money. So if you're exchanging time for money, you're paying a huge share of your income versus the people who are, moving assets around or accruing interest on owned assets, right? So that's a tough situation. Tough situation. And the number of productive people that you can leech off of is going to be fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer. And the number of leeches is going to increase. as long as that is enabled. And we don't have any way of like discouraging people from being leeches. You know, because that's considered rude. It's considered rude to tell people they should work hard. That's rude. Look, I'm not particularly financially successful, you know, by any means. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, I'm like a super, you know, I'm a very hard worker and by every estimation a complete failure. And that is okay. I'm just going to keep working. I'm going to keep swinging. Like, I'm not going to give up and just be like, put me on welfare, coach. I'm done. It's like, nah, bro, I'm going to keep swinging. I'm going to keep doing my best. You know, I'm just going to keep doing because I have, pride in my human dignity. You know, and I'm not shitting on absolutely everybody who's poor. A lot of people are on government assistance. I've been on government assistance before. Everybody's been there. It's a tough economy out here. I'm not shitting on everybody. But there are a fair number of people. We saw this during the EBT situation. There's a fair number of people that just have absolutely zero interest in contributing absolutely anything to society at all. And they just want more free stuff. And they don't see why that's bad. And they think you're a dick for not giving it to them. You know, a lot of people think that way. There's a vanishingly small number of people and an increasingly small number of people, meaning fewer and fewer people every day who are thinking about what they can contribute to the society and being productive in the first place. You know. Oh, for a discussion around climate change and why Mr. Gates has shifted his rhetoric around it, look into Project Nagging and the likelihood of its deployment and needing EPA loosened. Ooh, that'll be fun. We're gonna have to do a climate change episode at some point, especially if the discourse around climate change keeps shifting. Because remember, if you're like 30-something years old, you thought climate change was going to end the world, or at least that's what they told you. Like, some of us like did not buy it, but that's what they told us, is that climate change was evil and is going to end the world. Right. Now, a lot of people chose not to have children because of that, and now they're kind of backing off. They're like, who knows, right? We're crazy. We just say things. So I want to dig into this because if there's like a self-interested reason from the billionaire class why they did that, I want to know about that. So that's good. I tell you guys every week I say this, but I have the best audience on the internet. I get so much information in my DMs and in my comments of stuff to look into. It's never hard for me to put shows together because I already have. When we do the Robot Wives episode, I have a video. I was just saying I have a video for that, you know, because I get so much content from the audience. So sorry to be. Anyway, guys, we're getting over the 2-hour mark, and I've got other shit I got to get done today. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. This has been fucking awesome, guys. Just a reminder, I am your host, Theo Snodgrass, comedian and podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. If you want to see me do live comedy, I'm gonna be at Delirious Comedy Club tomorrow. There's a 7 o'clock show and a 9 o'clock show. So pick whatever you want. That's going to be the Fremont Street location, not the Silver Sevens location. So it's going to be the Fremont Street location, downtown Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to come out. We got a lot of good comics on that lineup, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Delirious is a great place. They got great food there, great entertainment. Owned by the one and only Don Barnhart, great comedian, friend and mentor of mine. That's great. Oh, make sure to come back tomorrow, Saturday, for Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass, 11 a.m. Pacific time. That is my panel show. So we're going to bring in a lot of people. We're going to have a panel discussion. That one is going to be about we're going to do more nagging discussion on that one, but there's also going to be it's also, let's see, what am I looking at? Like the disintegration of med space. I don't know how we're going to work this in, but it's like, why are men pissed? Why are so many young men so upset? And we're going to go over some of the reasons why I think that is. I'm going to hear from the panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday doing Theocracy at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that's going to be important too. Make sure to go ahead and check that show out. This is my solo show. It's growing. My goal is to get to 100 episodes. So that's going to be like, we're still like 6-7 weeks out from that, probably. See, what episode is this? 24. So I need to hit like 75 episodes in 3 weeks. So I'm way more than 6-7 weeks out. Just kidding. If I'm hitting 75 episodes, it's like, shit, that's like 20. It's like 20. 25 weeks out. Okay, so I'm still a few weeks out. It's going to be a while before I hit 100 episodes. Doesn't matter. I'm cranking out 3 a week. We're having fun. Please come back for that. Please, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. If you have not followed me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter or X, whatever. Make sure to follow me on social media. That's really important. That really boosts me in the algorithm. Thank you so much for contributing to the chat. Leave comments, whatever you want to do. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, so no, I think that's everything I needed to say. All right. Now, please enjoy the intro to my other show, Touchgrass, as the outro to this show. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Look at that crack. Stanley's crack look good. Chris Johnson crack look good. Well, look at my crack. No. Look at that crack.
Are we looking at ours as cat now?
Yes.
That
Sorry,
way?
I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And cause I was a gazillionaire and I like building so much, I cut that price for free.
Species is dying, the birth rate is plummeting, women are chopped. But yeah, you know what?